Manhunt was released in 2003
and was developed by Rockstar North and published by Rockstar Games. It was first released on the
PlayStation 2, but later was put onto Windows and the original Xbox. The game is controversial due to its graphic execution scenes. Former Rockstar employee Jeff Williams revealed that even the game's staff were somewhat uncomfortable about the level of violence. Manhunt is set in the fictional Carcer City that is filled with corruption and crime. A journalist, Mel Powers, reports about James Earl Cash, a death row inmate who has been recently executed by lethal injection. However, Cash was only sedated and awakens to an unknown voice referring to himself as the director. The director promises Cash his freedom, but only if he murders Hunter's gang members sent to hunt him in special areas around Carcer City filmed by CCTV. The director is later revealed to be a former film producer from Los Santos who produces snuff film, due to its disturbing plot and graphic execution scenes. The game was banned in several countries such as New Zealand, Australia, Canada, and Germany, with many politicians using the game as an example of how violent video games are corrupting the youth. Later in 2007, Manhunt 2 was released. The game was delayed as the game was suspended by Rockstar's parent company Take-Two Interactive when it was refused classification in the United Kingdom and Ireland, and given an adults-only rating in the United States. In response to these ratings problems, Rockstar censored the game, blurring the screen during the game's executions and removing the scoring system, which rewarded players for particularly brutal killings. Manhunt 2 takes place in 2007 within the fictional city of Cottonmouth. At the Dixmoor Asylum for the Criminally Insane, a severe thunderstorm causes the security system at the asylum to momentarily go offline, opening the cell doors throughout the facility, resulting in the patrons wandering freely through the asylum. You play as Daniel Lamb, who suffers from disorientation and is partly amnesiac, is unable to remember how or why he was admitted to Dixmoor. Daniel and other character Leo Casper escape the facility and make their way to the ruins of Daniel's old home. Daniel recovers medication which Leo says he left there for himself in the event of him forgetting the past.
The medication helps to clear his head somewhat, and he begins to remember fragments of his former life. He and Leo then set out to unravel the secrets of Daniel's past, all the while pursued by bounty hunters and agents of a mysterious organization called The Project. Manhunt 2 also faced controversy as it did for the original. The game was rejected for a M rating and got an adult-only rating, which Rockstar then had to censor the killings in order for them to get a M rating. It's been 16 years since the Manhunt series got another entry, but due to all the backlash and legal battles they had to face with the series, it's unlikely that we will ever see another Manhunt game. Super Columbine Massacre RPG was created by Danny Ladon and released in April 2005. The game recreates the 1999 Columbine High School shootings in Columbine, Colorado. You play as Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold and act out the massacre, with flashbacks relating parts of Harris and Klebold's past experiences. The game's creator Danny Ladon was inspired to create a video game about Columbine by his own experience being bullied and the effect the shooting had on his life. The game represents a critique of how traditional media sensationalized the shooting, as well as parodying video games themselves. The game was available to download on April 20th, 2005, which was the 6th anniversary of the Columbine Massacre. Danny wanted to be anonymous when the game released to avoid any possible controversy, which he would later regret as it created the impression he had something to hide. Super Columbine Massacre has been negative amongst the mainstream media and those personally affected by the shootings. CNN labeled the game as an example of a subculture that worships terrorists. PC World declared the game number 2 on its list of the 10 worst games of all time. Even critics who were supportive of Danny's intent found the game hard to play. The most positive reviews of Super Columbine Massacre came from critics who accepted Danny's intended message. Wired magazine appreciated the game's attention to narrative detail and writing. Hatred is an isometric shoot-'em-up video game developed and published by Destructive Creations, and was released on June 1, 2015 for Windows. You play as a misanthropic mass killer who begins a genocide crusade to kill as many human beings as possible. Its October 2014 announcement trailer was labeled as controversial by multiple video game journalists. The game was shortly removed by Valve from their Steam Greenlight service due to its extremely violent content, but was later brought back with a personal apology from Gabe Newell. The plot of Hatred revolves around a man only known known as the antagonist. Disgusted by human society and general existence, the antagonist decides to commit a killing spree in New York City using his arsenal of weapons. The game was met with a mountain of negative reviews and responses. Many game journalists called the game extremely violent, with some saying it caused them genuine revulsion. Hatred received generally negative reviews. It holds a score of 43 out of 100 on Metacritic. Although on Steam, the game became a bestseller and has a very positive rating from players. JFK Reloaded is a 2004 first-person shooter game developed and published by Traffic Games. The game recreates the 1963 assassination of John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States. You play as Lee Harvey Oswald, and are tasked with recreating the 3 shots fired at Kennedy. You can gain higher scores the more accurately they line up with the report. Shots can be reviewed in slow motion and from multiple viewpoints. The JFK Reloaded development team reconstructed the site of Kennedy's assassination with accurate object placements and weather conditions. According to one developer, they set out to disprove conspiracy theories surrounding the event by displaying that Oswald would have been capable to perform the shooting in the given conditions of that day. JFK Reloaded was denounced by several public figures, with some calling the game despicable and sickening.